I have buyer's remorse, and I may never recover from it. Posted by user aproyal. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go! Jordy, Colt, and I stabbed our cans, putting our mouths to the hole as the beer spurted out. Jordy's reflexes were a half-second too slow, and his shirt paid the consequences. Rookie mistake. I downed the drink a good 5 seconds before Jordy, with Colt finishing up a few seconds after him. "It's not fair! You guys started earlier!" Colt complained. The losers always complained. We were sitting in the back of Jordy's 91 F-150. It was more rust than truck these days, but it always got the job done. We had some amazing summers in that thing. "Oh, quit making excuses and take your shot," I said, as I handed him the bottle of Fireball. Jordy and I smiled as Colt downed his shot and winced. Boys, we best be going before it's too, dark." Jordy hopped off the truck, staggering toward the festivities. The sun was setting a beautiful blood-red orange. The rest of us followed suit. Every summer, the town of Hollowville hosts a pop-up shop for vendors at the local farmers market. It's a week-long event that excites the soccer mom in every family across the county. The gravel lot was packed with people, 2 lanes of merchants stretching all the way to the fence line. We stumbled our way through the crowds. It was the typical crap on display. Homemade arts and crafts, colorful fruits and vegetables, the occasional honey booth. Whoa! Colt had what looked like the skull of a chimpanzee and was rolling it around in the palm of his hand. Jordy and I instantly gravitated towards this vendor. "You break it, you buy it, chaps." The man was dressed in a brown tweed blazer and a black Homburg hat. A middle-aged man with a 19th century style. It was rare to see hipsters in this neck of woods. "Colt, you idiot," Jordy laughed. Colt guiltily put the skull down. "No worries at all. You boys look like you've had some fun tonight," he smiled. He had this distinguished charm about him. "Take a look around. You won't find items like this anywhere in the world. The name's Mr. Griff, if you have any questions." He was right. His collection was eclectic, to say the least. An array of items were laid across the table, containers filled with powders and oils, ancient handcrafted instruments, skulls from various animals, carved statues, masks, and dolls from different countries. Jars of floating things that I'd never seen before. I looked over at the bewildered Colt and Jordy, whose mouths were wide open. It was a creepy collection, indeed. How did you get these items?" Jordy asked, as he fumbled a jar that Mr. Griff caught. He shook his head and placed the object back on the table. "I'm a traveler of sorts. A collector, really. I have a passion for bartering. I was planning on passing through this town, actually, until I saw the flyer for this event." He brushed his auburn hair behind his ears and shifted towards me. "That one's a real beauty, isn't it?" I was eyeing this peculiar box in the front row. I can't describe what exactly attracted me to the item. I admired the careful, delicate intricacies of the design. It was an immaculate gold, and it carried a smell of tobacco and incense that I had never encountered before. "The cigarette case crafted in the Arabian Peninsula, over 500 years old, one of a kind." "It would make a great addition to your bong shelf, Cade." Colt laughed, and I smiled as I punched him in the arm. "How much for it?" Mr. Griff paused as he soothed his mustache. "Really hard to put a price on this one." Another pause as he paced a few steps. I guess I could part ways with it for 500? I gulped. I tried to count in my head what I had to offer. My hand fished inside my pocket, a stick of gum, 2 crumpled 20s in my wallet, and some lint. Damn, I wish I had bought less booze. I thought. I pulled the boys aside. There's no way he's serious, Colt whispered to our group. That's bloody robbery, Jordy agreed. How much do you guys have? Can I borrow? I swear I'll pay you back. Jordy put a 20 in the pot, and Colt had 2 10s and a 5, a grand total of 85. Maybe we can pass that gum off as vintage, Colt joked. We broke from the huddle. 85, sir, and not a penny more. I slammed the money on the table for dramatic effect. Colt and Jordy snickered. Mr. Griff was not laughing, though. He stood there in silence, absorbing the lowball offered. He slowly grabbed the cash, but instead of reaching for the item on the table, he reached into the suitcase and handed me something else. All sales final, he smiled, and then leaned towards us. Now get the fuck out of here! Now! His calm demeanor transformed into a nastiness. The crowd of people began to stare, just as he began to lunge in our direction. We booked it through the crowds, the world spinning. My heart was racing as we finally made it to the truck. Out of breath, we nervously began to laugh. 3 drunk, heaping masses rolling around on the gravel. We spotted our friend, Mary, in the parking lot, who offered to drop us off at my apartment to crash. On the ride home, I examined the item that I had purchased. It was definitely a lower quality product than the box that was advertised, but it was still a cigarette case, nonetheless. The main difference was in the material. This model was not gold, but a brass veneer. It was also filthy, with the outer layer beginning to corrode along with the edges, but the intricate pattern was very similar. Jordy and I helped carry Colt up the stairs of the apartment. After Colt hit the sofa, Jordy darted for the washroom and made that place home for the night. I headed to my bedroom with my trusty bong and the box. I took a hit and laid on my bed, settling in for the night as the THC entered the bloodstream. I tossed the box from side to side, and I noticed that something was rattling around within its confines. I took a t-shirt from the floor and began wiping the black dust off the surface. That's when I had noticed that it was locked. I laughed to myself. I guess the key must have been an extra charge. Searching the room, I found a SIM card ejector pin and began tinkering with the lock. An hour passed when it finally clicked open. Inside, a pipe made of wood and a long piece of parchment paper. It was rolled up, containing writing in Arabic script. I put the paper to the side and rinsed the pipe. I wasted no time grabbing my weed from the dresser. The high was unlike anything I had experienced before. My head started pounding as I imagined all of the people that had used this pipe over the years. The lights began taking on different shapes, orbs around the room, but that wasn't the weirdest thing. I sat up and noticed that the smoke coming out of the pipe was a dark black. The smoke was spiraling across the room, collecting and molding itself into a figure. Then it appeared. At last! Thank you, good sir. You have made quite a deal, I can assure you that. Who are you? Get away! I screamed as I crept back as far as I could to the back wall. Sorry, how rude of me. My name is Origin. You have summoned me, sir, freeing me from my confines. There is nothing to be afraid of. If anything, you should be excited. You wield incredible power now. I pinched myself as hard as I could. What a terrible trip. This was clearly some sort of demon. Its features resembled the head of a goat and the body of a gorilla. Shrouded in smoke, its head almost touching the ceiling as it floated closer. Well, I summon you back to where you came from. That is my wish. Origin abrupted in laughter. That's a good one, sir. But that's not how this works. Allow me to explain. You have summoned me, and in return, a series of events has unfolded. You have a big decision to make, and I have the power to fulfill. So you're a genie, then? I thought I could wish for anything. No. Unfortunately, that is not how this works either. This contract has a narrow scope. Pending my release, you are granted the authority of selecting a replacement for my imprisonment. Imprisonment? Precisely. This individual will take my place within the confines of the pipe and box. These items are magically bound together. Choose wisely. They will remain immortal until their summoning. And what if I don't select anyone? You become the replacement. This was absurd. I kept pinching myself harder, to no avail. The worst nightmare I've ever had. This is bullshit. You are lying. I assure you, I am not. If you want proof, take a look for your friends. I froze in terror. Colt! Jordy! I rushed out of the room. No one was on the sofa. I turned quickly to the washroom and it was empty. They had completely vanished. I whipped up my phone and called both of them. Straight to voicemail. Bring them back! This isn't funny! Nothing to worry about, honestly. They're being held in trust pending my release. What the fuck does that mean? Did you not read any of the agreement? Origin pointed to the piece of parchment laying on my bed. I didn't have a lot of reading material options. Origin laughed. They were being held in the in-between. The transit area between the living and the dead. They're completely safe. I needed them as collateral in case you didn't follow through. Call it extra incentive to find my replacement. I am well within my rights, as they were parties to the sale, but not deemed summoner. It is all in there, Origin smugly mentioned. I paused to catch my breath and take this all in. Anger boiled up deep inside my chest. Well, I choose Mr. Griff, the bastard who sold me this forsaken box. Origin sighed. That is an excellent choice. Unfortunately, Mr. Griff is not eligible, and there will be no sweeter feeling than to send that man to his doom. What do you mean not eligible? This is my selection. Your selection must be human. Mr. Griff does not fit that criteria. He is an otherworldly, an interdimensional swindler. He is the one who scammed me into the confinement for all these years. I rubbed my forehead in exhaustion. This makes no sense at all. With all due respect, sir, you need to look at this with a different perspective. Have you ever wanted to hurt someone so deeply for the wrongs they have committed against you? Most people never get to taste sweet revenge. This is so much bigger than wishing death upon someone. You have a great opportunity here. Do not squander this. The darkness of those words branded itself deeply into my soul. Sure, I've hated a ton of people throughout my life. I have dreamed about hurting those individuals. Hell, even killing a few of them, if I'm being completely honest. But there's a huge difference between fantasizing and acting upon upon dark impulses, to be imprisoned potentially for eternity. I can't imagine what you would have to do to deserve such a fate. I sat in shock, feeling guilty for Colt and Jordy's well-being. They had nothing to do with this mess. It was supposed to be a fun night, goofing off with my friends, but now I face the heaviest decision of my life, with theirs winning in the balance. As per the agreement, you have 24 hours. Pleasure doing business with you.